rotor realism. So as per my standard approach, I thought I'd do a review on Miltech Simulation's VibraHawk, after everyone who was going to pick it up already did. In truth, I got it because I wanted to write a Vibrafile for it, but more about that later. I've purchased from Miltech before and found that they tend to pay a lot of attention to detail. I've got their Chinook helicopter, and while it's not my favorite because the two-rotor system makes it far too stable for my taste, I can't deny the quality and thoughtfulness of their work. The same applies to the VibraHawk. The level of operational detail comes in at the edge of overwhelming. You can really see that this is the end result of a labor of love by a team of dedicated experts in their field. They're also quite responsive as customer support goes, and that's not a trivial thing in the era of dying customer support. The first thing I want to mention is the well-modeled suspension. Being a rolling helicopter with actual suspension mechanisms on the wheels, a solid implementation is fairly essential for realistic ground operations. To taxi around, you lift the collective a little bit and cyclic in the general direction you want to go, not sideways, obviously. Basically, you're flying it on the ground. You can do a rolling takeoff or static, and the responsive suspension provides that intuitive ground-to-air transition that makes stable pickups smooth and professional. I can't vouch for the flight model, in the sense that I've obviously never flown one to be able to compare it to. But to me it feels very refined and well-mannered, like a helicopter flight model with all the rough edges sanded down. Like flying it with assists on might be somewhat redundant. Now, is that how a VibraHawk actually flies? I think it a bit insulting to compare it with the DCS Community VibraHawk, but I don't have anything else to compare it to. The DCS VibraHawk was recently updated to much fanfare, and I previously tried it out. I found the flight model to be unpleasant with characteristics that seem not credible for the ubiquitousness of the platform, meaning something that is as widely in use for as many applications as it is. It seems unlikely that it would act in such an uncivilized manner in real life. Surprisingly, I saw many come out to champion it, claiming validation from real pilots. I see similar on the Miltech version, and yet they fly radically different. One is uncivilized, the other is almost sedate. Which one is right, or which is closer to right? If there are any VibraHawk pilots out there, please chime in the comments, or message me directly if you want to stay under the radar, as it were. As I am wont to do, I also looked at the fringe conditions. VNE, velocity never exceed, is implemented and demonstrated with a deteriorating level of control until you either pull out of it or you lock into a death trajectory. I was unable to provoke vortex ring state despite repeated attempts. By the way, Flightsim 2024 has a VRS avoidance feature now, so if VRS doesn't scare you and you want the full helicopter hell ride experience, you'll want to slide on over to the assistances menu and turn it off since it's enabled by default. I spent some time trying to over-torque and over-temp the thing, and it seemed quite resistant to abuse. I even shut off one engine to force the other to carry all the load, and weighed the aircraft down heavily besides, and barely got a nudge into the yellow briefly, so unless the engine management system is expertly handling it, I'm thinking this isn't well fleshed out in the model. I ran a few auto-rotation rounds on it, and it does support it, engines idling or off. Per my research, loss of tail rotor effectiveness is not a major concern for the VibraHawk. Its design seems to have plenty of power and tail thrust to spare. If anything, the sim model's tail authority is excessive, being able to swing the tail around even at cruise speed. I can see why such a colossal tail as this might incline one to think that's plausible, but I don't think it is. As far as rotor head animation, it's not right. There's no cyclic position where you're pitching up two opposing blades, and that those two pitched blades would be circling around the mast. And to understand why it's not right, watch my video on the nature of the rotor head. Nor does the collective seem to have any effect up here, so my scorecard on the face of it is a little murky. Given the mixed attention to fringe conditions, I can't help but question the authenticity of the normal envelope flight model. I mean, I do get it. It can't be easy to code the complexity of such an aircraft. I have my hands full just coding the vibrations for this thing. What about this condition? What if I do that? What if I spawn like this? The matrix of things you have to consider for a fully functional piece of code is kind of overwhelming. Overall, though, as a usable rotorcraft, it's quite enjoyable to fly. So given that, here's my rating. The important things: the fringe conditions, by the way, if you noticed a certain twitching in some of the video clips, it turns out the model itself is causing that. Apparently the refresh on the console next to the collective is slamming the CPU so hard it causes a heartbeat-like twitch. I brought it to Miltech's attention, and hopefully they'll address it in a future revision. So I'm going to blaspheme myself in light of the 500, but I have to say it might be my new favorite helicopter. I like its stability and heft while retaining some of the helicopter squirrel personality. It may be the optimal balance of rotor chaos and stability. It's so much slower to respond than the 500, it almost feels like piloting a mid-size yacht. Also, flying it seems to carry with it some kind of arrogance of authority. Like, hey man, this isn't just a 407 or an R-44. Make way, we're flying a military-grade VibraHawk here. Kind of like being the captain of an aircraft carrier. Not a lot intimidates you out on the open seas. In view of that, I did spend quite a lot of time coding in all the nuances of the VibraHawk into a new Vibrafile. I have 2 rotors modeled because this bad boy is nothing to ignore. I have taxiing around on tires like they do. I have auto rotation, and the rest of the cohort of shakes, rattles, and rolls. I really like how it adds to the overall immersion of flying this formidable beast. Link for that in the description below. And by the way, guys, I've yet to hear much feedback on these Vibrafiles. I think they're the bee's knees, but I have little idea if you share that opinion, as I have almost no formal reviews on any of these. So if you're inclined to share your opinions, please do on my Sim Market or Flightsim.to pages. That's all I have for now. I look forward to your comments and questions, and until next time, fly it like you slung it with a rocket.
Huh? Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.